Welcome back to the 100 Horror Films in 31 Days. Today this is day 22, and I got in 6 films. Big day of watching. So, first up, 1963's The Haunting, Robert Wise directed. Of course, most people think this is just a top 10 horror film, a classic. People like Martin Scorsese say it's one of the scariest films of all time, and Steven Spielberg. It's a good movie. It's based on the novel The Haunting of Hill House, which may be. I didn't look into this, but The Haunting of Hill House, of course, is a very, very popular Netflix show right now. I'm assuming it's based on that same novel by Shirley Jackson. Julie Harris and Claire Bloom. It's star in this film. They did a great job. There's a lot of interesting special effects in this film. Interesting in that it's in the 1960s. Like, you've got a wall that's kind of going inward, and apparently the way they did that was they had the wall was made of laminated wood, and they had a bunch of crew members just pushing on the laminated wood so it would give a little bit. Interesting stuff. The film was shot in England, at a castle in England. It's a very, very good movie. Very gothic, very spooky. It's not scary. I mean, but again, if you watch thousands of horror movies, I appreciate it for what it was. It was a seminal film in the '60s, but is it scary? It's not scary at all. Maybe it was scary when you were a kid in the '60s. I don't know, but I liked it. I don't think it's a top 10 or even a top 20 horror film of all time, like some people are raving about. It actually, when it first came out, did mediocre, very modestly at the box office. It's only recently become some kind of a cult phenomenon. I liked it a lot. I give it a 7 out of 10. It sounds like I don't like it. I'm being negative, but I do like it. I just don't think it's some scariest horror movie of all time stuff. It's a spooky ghost house movie, and there's a bunch of them. I actually think The Changeling is better, but anyway, it's a great movie. It's long. It's 2 hours. This release actually has a bunch of special features, which I'll have to check out very, very soon. So that's it for The Haunting. So next up is Fangs of the Living Dead, one of the first vampire films in Spain, directed by our buddy Armando Osario, who did all these Blind Dead films and a number of other spooky gothic thrillers. This film stars Anita Eckenberg as a female noble woman that's inherited this castle, and her uncle, played by Julian Ugarte, is a vampire. And so you get this interesting storyline, very gothic, very, very Euro-Gothic style of a vampire family basically inculcating this Annette Eckenberg into their vampirism. Like many of the Euro-Gothic horror films of the 60s, it's very much plays similarly. It's soft on the horror elements. I wish there was more fangs, more gore, more action. It's very talky, but still it's a spooky, interesting vampire film. The guy that played the uncle, Paul Ugarte, was Dracula in the Paul Naschy film. So that's something of interest. He's very gaunt, and he looks like a vampire. He does a very good job of it. Anyway, this has a audio commentary track, which I'll have to check out soon. Pretty sparse on special features other than that. It was also titled Malinka, niece of the vampire, Malinka, something like that. Alright, well that's film number 2. So next up, 1974's What Have They Done to Your Daughters? A guy named Massimo, can't pronounce his first name, directed this film. This came as a hybrid of gialli and police thrillers, Italian police thrillers. Man, it is a sleazy film. You've got a 14-year-old girl that's found hung. She's under 16, hanging in this attic house, apartment building. And so the police are trying to figure out, who killed her. Why was an underage girl naked in an attic? An attic apartment. What the heck's going on? And of course, they uncover a very nasty child prostitution ring, basically, with, of course, as you would expect, a lot of preeminent and wealthy folks that are involved in it. Interesting film, sleazy. Whew, man, it's not pornographic, although there was some hardcore scenes shot in this one. It's just the subject matter coupled with some of the visuals make it a very sleazy watch. It's great. That tells you something about me. Yeah, I thought it was great. I give it an 8 out of 10. This release, of course, is an Arrow release. And as with all the Arrow releases, you've got reversible artwork and a slew of special features. You've also got the obligatory booklet and a bunch of special features, audio commentaries, interviews, etc. So this is a great release of a very, very interesting crossover giallo police film. Definitely highly recommend this. All right, next up is Tenebrae. Really don't need to say too much about Tenebrae. It's Dario Argento masterpiece. Many people think it's one of the best giallos of all time. It's fantastic. The music, but I'll tell you, let me say this. When I watch this for the upteenth time, one of the things that strikes me about it, and strikes everyone, it's obvious, is obviously the music propels the film. It's masterful. And to me, it's very similar to Halloween in that if you took the music off, all of a sudden I think the visuals just lose a lot of their force, particularly because some of the visuals are just bad. I mean, the last few killings in this thing, it's obvious you've got a fake arm. I mean, it actually looks bad, but it just works in the context because of the background is very white, all the blood splatter, and then the music on top of it. But if you just took the music out, what you really got is some bad special effects. I mean, and a lot of people said that about Halloween. When Halloween was first made, the guys that were basically production folks saw it without the music and said, "Well, man, this isn't going to do very good." It just shows you the power of music. The music makes the film, in my opinion. Tenebrae is a great film. Don't get me wrong. It just kind of struck me though that without the music, maybe the music is 80% of why this is so great. Maybe 60%. I don't know, but it's clear to me that the powerful musical score is a lot of the reason why this stands above just another standard giallo. Because in many respects, it's got some problems. I mean, the story is. The last 15-20 minutes, the kills are just silly, almost silly, over the top silly, but it works. It does work. I give it an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's a masterpiece that many people think it is, but I do love it a lot. Of course, this is yet again another Arrow release, and you got a Blu-ray and DVD. I thought this had the musical score. They should have released a 3-disc on this with the musical score. That would have been awesome. A lot of beautiful girls in this. It's just a visual feast of the eyes. It really is. Tenebrae. So next up is Narciso Sirota, director of Who Can Kill a Child, 1976. Wow. I mean, this is a rough watch too. Similar to Who Can Kill? What Have They Done to Your Daughters? It's probably to me the most powerful killer child movie. You know, you've got Village of the Damned, the original and the remake. Um, Man, this one's rough because it portrays the kids as normal kids, and yet they're violent killers killing off adults. But they know how to play the system and appear as normal children to people that first kind of interact with them. It's brutal. It's unlike, you know, when you've got killer kids in most movies. They're obviously killer kids. Something's wrong with them. These guys are much more mischievous and dangerous because they just come across as normal, innocent looking, innocent acting kids, and then they just pull some shit. I mean, they got a human pinata in this thing. I mean, it's the first opening scenes are talked about a lot because it's just a barrage of documentary footage of children and war and impoverishment and devastation, and it kind of sets you up for this empathy feeling right out of the get-go for these kids, and then the kids turn around and start killing off people. Great movie. Really, really good movie. Highly recommended. I don't, there's a new Blu-ray out on this. I don't have that yet, but this is an outstanding, really. I mean, the picture quality on this was fine. I like it, but I definitely need to upgrade this at some point. Who Can Kill a Child? Awesome, awesome stuff. And then finally, I went back to a tried and true and checked out Lon Chaney Jr. and Son of Dracula. A lot of people give this a bunch of crap because of Lon Chaney just doesn't look like a very good Dracula. He's thick and bulky, and that's true. All those things are true, but I think the movie plays to his strengths. The movie comes off as very powerful as he appears powerful. It gives him a lot of action-oriented sequences that you don't normally see in Dracula films. You know, he's throwing people around, and I mean, they play to his strengths, his physical strengths, and I think the film works. It's one of my favorites, and I think that is Lon Chaney the best Dracula that's ever been? No, he's not even top 10. But I think he does. I think he really does a fine job, and I think he's gotten some malign mistreatment as far as his characterization of Alucard. In this case, it's Alucard, just Dracula spelled backwards. The movie and the pacing, it works well. It's not a slow film, and it's not a dull, talky film. Son of Dracula is a good film. I give it a 7 out of 10. Really enjoy it. Every time I watch it, I enjoy it. All right, well, that is day 22, and that was a busy day. I appreciate you watching.